What's going on, guys? Asian Guy here, bringing you an extremely long overdue video, long awaited, and I highly apologize. Even despite this massive grin on my face, I'm genuinely so sorry that it's taken this long to upload this video. Now, as you guys know, I don't like combining captains and subs together when it comes to comparing your legends as how good they are on a tier list, and as such, big emphasis right now, this is a captains only tier list. I will have a separate tier list for how good units are as a sub, but that is for another time, most likely 2024, hopefully 2019. But I did promise this video originally in January 2019. It is now June 2019, but at least we got to manage this video in 2019. Now, the reason why the video takes so long to upload is simply because, one, I don't really want to make the video necessarily all the time, because when we're looking at the number of legends we have over 70 legends including side grades, and if I meant to talk about every single one of those legends and how good they are, most of those legends will take up anywhere from 1 to 3 minutes, and as such the video is going to be a minimum of 1 hour and 10 minutes, and that is going to be a miserable time editing. And as you guys know, I'm a very much, when it comes to commentary, I try to be as perfect as possible, a perfectionist, no stuttering and no mumbling on like I'm doing right now, and that results in me doing multiple takes. Now, hopefully I'm going to just do cuts this time between my videos and edits when I do make a mistake. Hopefully I don't make any mistakes at all doing this take. This is take number 4, by the way, guys. Not having the greatest of moments in my life right now, but let's begin with the tier list. So we do have all the way up to the Sabo and Koala batch. That's something to be noted. And again, I'm going to emphasize, because some people do like to skip ahead, this is a captain's tier list only. So hopefully we're not going to get any angry comments this time, because last time, even though I did emphasize it, a lot of people were very angry with my placements, and it's because they skipped straight ahead in the video. They did not pay any attention to the important notes. And honestly, I do like to reply to comments and read comments on these kind of videos, the tier list videos, especially because they're for discussion. But if you are someone who has clearly not read the tier list stipulations, the criteria, and realize it's captains only, I unfortunately will just be ignoring the comment, because if you cannot give me the 1 minute that I'm asking for, that you need to listen to hear me say it's a captain tier list, then I can't give you the 1 minute to reply to your comment. Hopefully that is reasonable for you guys. But let's begin. Thank you to the people who always stick around and listen all the way through without skipping ahead and then fully understand the tier list. So, tier list ranks units based on effectiveness as captains only, how good they are as a captain. Overall, assume that all units are owned and rainbow maxed at full potential. What this means is that they will have plus 200 cotton candy, the ideal optimal amount, they'll have the optimal sockets, they will have fully socketed teams, and of course they will have full potential on all their limit breaks. This is important because, for example, Whitebeard and Marco is a good example. On their orb seal removal socket, they can have a maximum of infinite turns of orb seal removal, which is essentially the same as giving you the switch ability of Luffy and Ace in terms of removing orb seal. So that is a very big orb seal socket right there, so that's something to keep into consideration. I like to compare all the legends at their full potential so they're all on an even playing field. This means, though, as a result, free-to-play friendliness is not going to be considered. I personally don't think when you're trying to compare legends at their maximum capabilities, you can really consider free-to-play friendliness as a criteria as to how good a legend is. Naturally, most of the rainbow captains out there are going to be the most free-to-play friendly ones, because they allow you to use any kind of subs that hopefully aren't restricted. But that's something I need to talk about later on in the video, the importance of the sub pool in the game right now. So this list is based off the Japanese version of One Piece Treasure Cruise. As I mentioned, Sabo and Koala right now is the current batch that we are on, June 2019, and the meta that follows with that as well. It's going to be a bit different to Global, because Global does get Global first content as well now. Good for you, Global. I'm very happy that Global has begun to diverge away from Japan with the content that they're getting as well. But regardless, hopefully this tier list might be useful to you guys on the Global server if you're watching and seeing what kind of things are coming in the future. I have included my February tier list that I made, or maybe it's March now, because Barto and Cavendish are on there. I didn't say Dex, Barto and Cavendish just now. Ha! That's a bit of a meme on my stream, guys, where I keep saying Dex, Barto and Cavendish instead of Barto and Cavendish. But let's just move aside from that. I have included my March or maybe my February tier list, so you guys can see that's more, I would say, accurate for the global meta. And you guys can see the big shift in the different kinds of legends that have gone up and down between my S tiers and my A tiers and my B tiers. So hopefully, I said that really weird just now, but hopefully that will be a little bit more useful to you global players out there. So something else that is very important here is there's going to be multiple criteria that go into ranking each of the captains. This is where it's very important to distinguish that this is just my opinion, guys, and your opinion is, if it's completely different, it's absolutely a-okay. And how I rank the importance of this is going in this order: is speed is my #1 priority. I do not have the entirety of time to play the game, unfortunately, and it is a very grindy game that does require you to have a lot of time on your hands to be able to keep up with the game, to be able to rainbow max everything that comes out. I don't have the time anymore, so I don't have everything rainbow maxed anymore, but therefore whenever I do play, speed is my #1 priority, and you can probably imagine where I'm going to put certain legends now that I said speed is very important. Safety as well is also important because that ties in with speed. If your team is not safe and you make a mistake and you die, that's not very time efficient either. Subs. This is, I would say these 3 criteria are the most important when making a tier list right now. Speed, safety, and subs. They are really the full package for me. And then there are some additional things on the side. Longevity, of course, is going to be important because if you have a limited kit, let's say 6+ Enel or V2 Akainu, their longevity, they seemed great on paper when they came out, and they were fantastic on paper. They were really, really good for the longest time, but then they have kind of fallen off now because they just can't keep up with the power creep of the game because they're already capped, right? They have a cap of Akainu 2 million damage, or a little bit over 2 million end of turn damage with limit break and support units, and then Enel special is capped at 5 million, which is obviously not going to be enough for everything in the future. End game clear rate, the reason why I put this quite far down is because if one legend can't clear anything, you can always just use another legend to clear something else. We are assuming we own every single unit in the game, so endgame clear rate, while it is important, in fact it's actually very, very important, naturally there's going to be the way the game works. Now it is quite pay to win when the new batch comes out. The new Colosseum is always going to be done best, or almost always done best, by the newest batch. So you have to try and take away a bit of bias from that because the recency bias from that is going to be strong. For example, Sabo and Koala look amazing. Luffy and Law look amazing for the 2 recent Colosseums because they just recently came out, and of course they're naturally going to be able to clear that most recent Colosseum. Having said that, as time passes, this is where longevity comes in. You got to start mixing and matching your subs, your teams, and then everything gets shaken up. So endgame clear rate, I don't think is the most important thing, but it's still very important that your legends can keep up if you want to rank them as the best legends in the game. Air quotes on best. Niche usage, because we got to give some respect for our Lord Buggy. Buggy, I really put that there just because I rank Buggy really highly, and I genuinely think that Buggy is one of the best legends in the game. He just generates you free content. He gives you free stuff, and it's lovely. It's absolutely lovely, especially during 5-year anniversary events. Just endless amounts of goodies for free, extra goodies for free. Next part, leeching. Now leeching, for those of you who don't know, is when one captain requires a better captain to partner up in order to clear a piece of content it otherwise can't run in its double form. So if you, for example, double timeskip Luffy can't clear X or Y content, but Luffy X Ace plus timeskip Luffy can, that means timeskip Luffy isn't really contributing anything, it's just leeching off Luffy X Ace, which is just a far superior version. On the other hand, for example, 6+ Judge and 6+ Gear 4 Snake Man aren't really leeching off one another, they're combining and synergizing, complementing one another to clear the content. V2 Big Mom, the dual unit I should say, between Prometheus and Zeus is a very good example of this. Her double captain, honestly, I don't think is that effective. Her paired up with other legends, though, is actually very, very, very powerful. And you've probably seen a lot of teams running the very difficult piece of Colosseums paired up with a completely different captain with the V2 Big Mom. So that is an example of complementing one another rather than leeching. So hopefully that made the distinguishment very clear between what is leeching and what is more complementing and synergizing. Last but not least, very importantly, this tier list is just my own opinion. Should not be taken as fact. I know some people who are very, very loyal to the channel do take my opinion with a very heavy weight. Don't take it with too heavy of a weight. I do appreciate it though, guys. Thank you very much to those who do that. But I just said beg your pardon. But it is just my opinion. It's not fact, and of course in the future things are going to change naturally. As time passes, we're going to get more and more power creep. The purpose, of course, as always, is to create enjoyable content and discussion. I always like to reply to comments in my comment section. This time round, I will be replying to everyone in my comment section again, unless it's obviously someone who has been ignorant and just skipped ahead, jumped to their conclusions without really listening to this important part and started typing angrily why this X or Y, blah, 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 etc, etc. So hopefully that doesn't happen too much this time, because it happened quite a lot last time. And boy, oh boy, did I have some angry customers. Let's get into the tier list. What's going on, guys? Asian guy here from the future, interjecting a little segment here because I forgot a very important point after recording for 50 minutes. I forgot the most important point is how my tier list format actually works. So for those of you who are new to my channel, I haven't seen my previous tier list, I am going from S tier being the highest tier, A tier, then a B tier, a C tier, going all the way down, I believe, to a D, maybe an E tier. And I'm not going to be including all of those in this video. This will be a part 1. If you guys want to see a part 2, let me know. But this is only going to be, believe it or not, the S tier only for the entirety of this 1 hour video. If I have edited this, it might be a little bit shorter than 1 hour, but the raw footage right now is 1 hour long. In that S tier, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, A tier as well, B tier, all the way down to F tier, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I would like to address those as S1, S2, S3, and S4. And how that works is that the S4 is something like a 90 to a 92.5% score, S3 would be a 92.5 to a 95% score, S2 would be a 95 to a 97.5% score, and then S1, the very, very top, would be a 97.5 to a 100% score. So hopefully that will give you a numerical visualization of the very, very small differences, for example, between S1 and S2, and even S1 and S3. It's a very, very small gap. You can make the argument it's a very tiny gap. However, between S1 and S4, there's a distinguishable gap. There's a noticeable gap whereby S4 could really never in any situation be like an S1 unit. Whereas an S2, depending on the criteria, depending on your personal preference, I would say it's fair to make an argument that they could arguably be S1, or even an S1 could be an S2 unit, and therefore vice versa. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you'll enjoy the video, guys. It is very long, but thank you very much for watching. By the way, this tier list on the side here, this is mainly for global players. I have a Japanese shift later on in the video. You can feel free to skip ahead to that. I will leave the timestamp somewhere on the screen if you want to see the Japanese tier list, but I do drop some important points for this March tier list, which is more relevant to global players right now. It's midway between global and Japan content, but I'll leave the timestamp on the screen for you right now. Thank you very much for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye. Alrighty, guys, so this is the tier list from March 2019. So this is going to be more useful to the global players of One Piece Treasure Cruise. Back then, I had recorded the footage. I promise you, I had actually recorded it. I just could not get around to editing it because it was 60 long minutes of footage. And when I record and edit, I listen back multiple times to what I've said so that I can, adjust the sound if I said something too loud. So I can adjust it with the music, etc, etc. And 16 minutes, boy oh boy, that was a no bueno. But let's skim over this very quickly. I think this is very self-explanatory for global players. Snake Man, absolute beast. V2 Katakuri, absolute beast. Whitebeard and Marco, absolute beast. Snake Man, of course, is superb because he's a rainbow captain. He's also a powerhouse and fighter captain, meaning all the powerhouse fighter subs in the game that came with, for example, the V2 Sanji batch. Just powerhouse units in general are pretty damn awesome. Will all go very well on a Snake Man team. And you have the beautiful Zunisha ship. Likewise with V2 Katakuri, also a powerhouse captain, fighter captain as well. That full batch synergizes very well with one another. And of course, we've got Whitebeard and Marco. Again, all of them can use the beautiful Zunisha ship. But that's not the reason why they're all superb. They're all pretty tanky. They're all pretty safe in the kind of teams that they run. Katakuri obviously isn't necessarily tanky, but a lot of the times you're going to be using tanky subs with really big HP pools, and you can be expecting anywhere from 25 to 35,000 HP depending on the ship you're using. And of course, he heals up every single time you pass on to a different stage. A lot of the times, a lot of teams that actually use him will be running Whitebeard and Marco as a sub as well. And for those of you on global that have just pulled V2 Katakuri, word of advice, it's very, very optimal to actually have recovery up sockets on him. A full team of recovery up sockets will treat you very nicely if you have 25 points in that, plus 1000 fixed recovery, emphasis on the fixed because debuffs will not target that necessarily depending on the debuff, but fixed recovery plus 1000 per meter, which is very, very good along with Whitebeard and Marco as well. So recovery up, people thought it was a meme. It's not a meme anymore. It is actually a very, very good socket to put on your units. More and more Japanese players are putting it on their units now because recovery up, we are getting a lot of no healing debuffs or healing debuffs nowadays, so recovery up socket is now the meta on Japan. It should begin to look like the meta on global as well, so do take that into consideration when you're socketing your legends. We have got Kara in row 2. For me personally, she is my favorite legend in the game, simply because of the speed. It's just no one matches her when it comes to speed. I say no one matches her, but V2 Akainu was a close runner up to her when it came to speed back in the days of when he was still relevant. Nowadays, he's really not too relevant anymore. He's very difficult to run content with. He's not tanky, he has no sustainability, and if you mess up, he's very high risk, and nowadays, probably medium reward. So he's fallen off a lot, and you'll see that in the next page, which will be the Japanese meta. Oh, I said that in a really weird way, but Japanese meta, and yeah. Carrot really up there. V2 kind of still though on global is going to be rocking stuff easily. When Carrot comes out though, I would not hesitate to put her in S1. When she first comes out, the first batches of content that will follow up with her, Colosseum Magellan is one of them. And the next, few months of content that comes out, she is honestly the best legend by a mile to run that piece of content with. The only drawback is she's never going to have 100% clear rate because she only lasts for 12 turns. And that's 12 turns including the preemptive stages that enemies have, so it's even less than 12 turns, more realistically like 8 or 9 turns when you take into consideration preemptive. So she can't do all the forests. For me personally, that's not a problem, but I'm trying to be as objective as possible because a lot of people do weigh in for some reason forest as a very important criteria as to how good a legend is. I personally don't think forest is a very important criteria. You don't really want to run every single forest with the same team over and over again. I personally like to use different legends which are more optimal for each different forest. So for me, forest is not that big of a criteria. But for V2 Akainu users, forest might be a big criteria because he absolutely stomps every single forest. So everyone has their own opinions and takes. We've got Barter and Cavendish. Again, I didn't say it. I'm free of the curse, guys. I used to always say Dex, Barter, and Cavendish. I couldn't help it, but I've stopped saying it now. I've made the conscious effort to stop saying it, but I rate them very, very highly. I personally think they do get better as time passes. Luffy and Ace, long-standing, very, very good. If you have them fully rainbowed and you have their teams quite rainbowed, I'd say quite rainbowed, you can't quite rainbow someone. If you have their teams relatively limit broken, the internal healing with pinch healing, mwah, very beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And you got the damage reduction as well. They become very tanky, very sustainable, and you get the guaranteed orbs. You can get rid of despair, you can get rid of orb seal. It's just a beautiful, beautiful legend, and they are still very good on Japan. A lot of things that you would not expect them to clear, they clear with ease simply because they're so goddamn sustainable and their damage is still through the roof. Sanji and Judge. I was lucky enough to pull these legends on the 5-year anniversary, and boy oh boy are they amazing. I absolutely love them, and you'll see right in a moment how they rise up the ranks. You'll see in a moment, or how they, not necessarily they rise up the ranks, how the other legends fall down the ranks and how they keep their place. We've got V2 Whitebeard or V3 Whitebeard or Quick Whitebeard, however you want to call him, and we've also got V2 Sanji, who in my opinion is still so underrated both on Japan and on global. This guy, when, Luffy and Law came out, people were freaking out. Oh my god, in their dual form, 4.5 times attack, that's absolutely absurd. And then here I'm just saying like, V2 Sanji, V2 Mihawk, their average, voice crack, their average, guys, is a 4.77 times attack boost, going past the 5 times attack boost on the final hit, which is absurd. That is actually absurd. The Luffy and Law, the 4.5 times, it's great because it's flat, but that's only in their dual form. Imagine having a 4.77 times average every single goddamn turn. That's some juicy ballissimos. But of course, there are some debuffs in the game that specifically try and ruin this with the V2 Sanji, although I would say they're really not that prevalent. They're really not that prevalent. I don't think I've really seen any content out there that specifically targets Sanji like they do with our boy V2 Dofi, and they've absolutely clapped V2 Dofi with all the debuffs they specifically put on that legend. I know you hate him, Bandai. You release him and you nerf him within a month. Thank you very much, Bandai. I know you're watching. I know you're watching, but V2 Dofi did get the big cuckening, unlike V2 Sanji. So I think he's very, very underrated. You got 6+ Big Mom, you got Gear 4 V2. I know a lot of people are very unhappy that I put him all the way down here, and I will explain exactly why in the Japanese side of this captain tier list in a moment. We've got Dex Sabo in there, 6+ Judge, and of course Capone, who in my opinion I would now put up way high on the global tier list, probably in either S2 or S3. But that is all the way back from March on the Japanese version of the game. Let's move over to what we have right now. So this is post 5-year anniversary. A tiny bit of recency bias, as you can see, with 6+ Buggy going in there. But 6+ Buggy, honestly, my most used captain. I don't think anyone who owns 6+ Buggy will contest this. He will be in your top 2 most used captains of all time. Simply because whenever you can run him, there's no one that can compete with him. He's completely niche, and you will just want to duplicate all the good stuff. Cotton Candy, we've currently on Japan got a +5 Cotton Candy Island, +10 Cotton Candy Island. When he duplicates that stuff, mwah, bellissimo. Limit Break Potion Island, mwah, bellissimo. All the good stuff. Universal Skillbook Island, he is, oh my god, so good. So good. Imagine, guys, guaranteed Universal Skillbooks. He duplicates those. That's essentially getting a copy of the hardest piece of content in the game for free. And that's the equivalent of maybe like 5 copies, because 5 copies is the average for one skill up. A Universal Skillbook that guarantees a skill up, and Buggy dupes it. Say you get 3 copies, boom, that's like 15 copies of a unit you don't want to farm. So take that into consideration. Buggy, the ultimate legend. And I'm not memeing here, guys. I genuinely think Buggy is absolutely amazing, but he's definitely not the best unit in the game, not the best captain in the game, but he is absolutely amazing. I originally had him at S4, but I didn't like how it made the list look a bit wonky, so I put him all the way back at the top for the meme value as well. So that's my explanation on 6+ Buggy, especially after the anniversary. There are so many islands he's so good on. And to top it off, Time Skip Coliseum Kid can actually run on a Buggy team, which means he's actually pretty decent on Fortnites as well. Although I would not recommend using Fortnites with Buggy because it's not really time efficient. But for the people who want to be stamina efficient, in that case, 6+ Buggy, very good. For those of you who don't want a gem for stamina, 6+ Buggy is actually very good with Time Skip Coliseum Kid as well. So take that into consideration. Now, a lot of people are probably surprised that Snake Man is still up here in the S1. For me, Snake Man, other than being a rainbow captain in general, I still think that Powerhouse is such a strong class. Probably not the strongest anymore. I'd say they're joint strongest along with Cerebral and Free Spirit, which is something recent because Cerebral and Free Spirit just got a new batch. But, you know, that he's just great. He's just absolutely fantastic. Now, a lot of people when he first came out were thinking, wow, big power creep. But honestly speaking, if you think about it from this perspective, the 4-year anniversary, we got this Luffy all the way down in S4, and I'll get to that in a moment. We got Gear 4 Tankman, who went up to a 4 times attack boost, touching on 4.25 times in his Tankman form for himself, and that's okay. And then midway through the year, we got Snake Man, who goes up to a 4.25 times for all units after hitting 3 perfects. And then now we have a 4.5 times flat boost in a dual captain form 1 year later on the 5-year anniversary. A lot of people are screaming power creep when this Luffy and Law came out. I honestly don't think it's too bad. In a year's time, we've only gone up 0.5, in fact technically 0.25 in that space, and we still always had V2 Sanji and V2 Mihawk rocking that average 4.77 times anyway. So I honestly don't think the Luffy and Law, the Snake Man power creep is too big, and next year I would not be surprised to see a 5 times captain, going up to a 4.75 times midway through the year and then a 5 times for the 6-year anniversary. Just generally speaking, I think that's a reasonable amount of power creep, and that's something I wanted to get out of the way. So, Luffy and Law, a lot of people would put them as the best legend, head and shoulders above everyone else by themselves. Having played with them myself, speed-wise, they're not up there, guys. They're really not up there when it comes to speed. Quite tedious to play with as well. Safety-wise, very safe legend. A lot of damage, can clear basically everything, but not necessarily always optimal when it comes to clearing everything, but still absolutely solid. Their switchability is amazing. Being able to penetrate any defensive barrier with a normal hit is absolutely huge. On a 2x attack boost as well is absolutely huge as well. For mini boss stages, it comes in very handy, and of course guarantees you your orb as well. But having said that, when you compare it to Gear 4 Snake Man, Gear 4 Snake Man has inherent cooldown. It can use a Zunisha ship. It can also in my opinion, easily use the... what's the word I'm looking for here? The Germa 66 ship, or the Germa 66 ship as well, which is one of my favorite ships to use because it gives you even more cooldown, -2 if I'm not mistaken, which is really huge as well. And you can use the Blackbeard ship as well. You can of course use those ships as well with the Luffy and Law team, but it becomes a little bit more tricky because they are a dual typing unit. You have to be very careful when you're switching around, otherwise you'll lose the boost for the Germa 66 ship. So that's something else to note as well. And of course, something that I really like is having beneficial orbs or inherent orb manipulation in your captain's kit, which Luffy and Law do not have. They do not have orb manipulation. They do not, unfortunately, have beneficial orbs either. That's actually the same for Sabo and Koala. This is a trend we're beginning to see where beneficial orbs is slightly beginning to fade and we're having increased matching orb rate instead. Dex Sabo, increased matching orb rate. If I'm not mistaken, Mihawk increases the rate of Dex and Int orbs, and then you've also, and they're not necessarily beneficial orbs either, and you've got Carrot, which increases the rate of matching orbs as well. So I feel like that's the trend we're going in right now. I would like to see beneficial orbs stay there because I really like having beneficial orbs. Not having to rely on specific sailors to get that is a very good unit. Very good thing, I should say, beg your pardon. And then of course let's go back to Snake Man. So Snake Man, Powerhouse and Fighters. This is something I touched on earlier. The sub pool for Powerhouse and Fighters. Something that people really emphasize on and really value, which is one of my pet peeves, is Rainbow Captaincy. So being a Rainbow Captain, in my opinion, is not necessarily always a good thing. If anything, sometimes it can make your time building a team a little bit more complicated because you have all these subs now that don't necessarily synergize with each other and you start confusing yourself. But that's something that's a personal issue of mine, so I don't really weight that there. That's why I've kept Luffy and Law all the way at the top. And Snake Man, on the other hand, he has a set pool of very dedicated subs. For those people who haven't noticed, the power creep doesn't necessarily come with the captains, guys. It comes with the subs. Nowadays, we have subs which require you to have very specific criteria to activate their specials. An example is the entirety of the V2 Germa 66 batch. None of them are very effective unless you have every single unit as a powerhouse sub. If you don't have 6 powerhouse units on your team, their specials are basically redundant. The batch that came out with V2 Katakuri and Snake Man, if your captain is not Strength or Psi, basically redundant as well. And for me, I'm not a big fan of that because I would love it if these units were rainbow units and you could use them on any team. That would be superb. But of course, that would make them overpowered as well. And to balance them, they have to be restricted to their certain captains. And those certain captains mean that certain legends will have very dedicated sub pools. And for me, Snake Man, being a powerhouse unit is such a big thing because the V2 Germa 6 batch, V2 Germa 66 batch, the original Germa 66 batch, the powerhouse units that have come out with all the powerhouse captains, with the Sanji, the fighter units that came out, they're mostly powerhouse fighter units. Very good units that go specifically well with the Snake Man unit. And it's just, he has so many good units that are recent as well, because this power creep, this criteria locks that these subs have are all recent. So all these recent units are very good and they fit very well on a Snake Man team. And of course, worst comes to worst, he's always a rainbow captain as well. Now on the flip side, Luffy and Law may have just edged it out now because we are moving back into free spirit territory. Free spirits, boy oh boy, they're looking tasty again. The new batch that just came out with Sabo and Koala are very tasty on a Luffy and Law team. Surprise, surprise. And of course, every unit that came out on a Luffy Law team will work on a Luffy and Law team because most of them are dual units that are rainbow units that do everything for any units, which is very nice. For once, we're getting rainbow units, but they are dual units. And most of the time, in my opinion, you don't really want to be using everyone on that batch. You've got Crocken, Robin, you have Smoker and Tashigi. Like Smoker and Tashigi, honestly, I would not really use them on every single team or many teams at all. They're very niche. They just have orb manipulation and damage. that sub batch, honestly speaking, I would say Ivankov and Bonclay were the only good ones in that batch, like that were very notable. Lucci and Kaku were decent. They're like the dedicated attack booster for the Luffy and Law team, and that's one of the big problems that Luffy and Law had being a rainbow unit, dedicated to being a rainbow captain, is that the subs are very difficult to come by. I did not pull Lucci and Law. Lucci and Law, that's a weird combination. Lucci and Kaku originally, and I really felt the difficulty of team building not having a Lucci and Kaku when it came to Luffy and Law. And the reason for that is because I had to use janky units such as World Clasher Kainu, who is one of my favorite units in the game, by the way, so not a problem using him. But that meant I was very restricted to using quick units, or V2 Shanks, again restricting what kind of colors I could have on my team. So V2 Shanks, and the reason is because I want an orb manipulator, I want an attack booster that will boost everyone on my team, or most units on my team, and therefore it made things tricky, right? It made things tricky. Having said that, Luffy and Law, they become in their dual form, they become, I believe it's a fighter slasher captain, which is interesting. It's interesting. Let me double check that. I believe they do become a fighter slasher captain, which is not optimal in a lot of different scenarios, because most of the time I can't actually think of any units that are really dedicated to fighter slasher teams that have good synergizing. So I know there's sub pools for fight units, there's sub pools for slasher units, but how well do those units synergize together? Not so well in my opinion. But when you start moving on to free spirit units and you can start synergizing this unit with the Sabo and Koala unit, which I'm seeing a lot recently, they actually do work very, very well. Having said that, if they are a free spirit captain, that'll be tasted, but I don't think they are. I don't think they are. Luffy Law, let's take a look. Fighter slasher, so that is one little bit of a downside. You do have a fighter free spirit, and then you have a fighter free spirit and then a slasher cerebral as the two different captains. So it's very hard to get dedicated subs for the Luffy and Law. So that is my one nitpick. Actually, there's two nitpicks. Is that no inherent beneficial orbs, and fighter slasher as the dual captain, and then free spirit fighter, and then cerebral slasher actually makes it very hard to have dedicated subs for the Luffy and Law. But you have the 4.5 times attack boost, you have the 2 times attack boost switch ability, you have the 2.5 times orb boost, which does give you beneficial orbs, which is still very, very solid. I've spent so long talking about just Snake Man and Luffy and Law. You can imagine why I don't want to do one big old tier list video, which is going to take 2 hours long. But these guys, these two are the best legend captains, in my opinion, in the game right now. Unsurprisingly, both of them are versions of Luffy. Let's move on to S2. Now, something I should have emphasized earlier, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do an intersection earlier on in the video before I start this part saying what S1, S2, S3, and S4 is, but I'll touch over it right now. So S1 is what I would give a 97.5% to 100% score. S2 is what I would give a 95% to 97.5%. S3, S4, as you can imagine, 92.5 to 95, and 90 to 92.5 as well. So the differences between S1, S2, S3, S4, very, very, very little. S1, S2, literally, both of them could be 94.9 and then 95.1, and you can literally just flip them. You can honestly flip anyone in S2 with S1 depending on your personal preference, and then the gap is where you see between S1 and S3 and S1 and S4. That's how I would personally put it. That's where I would personally put the gap for myself. So let's begin. Sangeun Charge, amazing. They're really, really good. They're so, so good. And something that a lot of people haven't actually realized, I think this is because of a translation error, is that Sangeun Charge don't necessarily require you to have 6 powerhouse units, nor do they require you to have 6 units of the same color. Having said that, it's more optimal to run it that way, especially if you want to be on the powerhouse side, because if you don't have the powerhouse side, you can't actually use a dual form of Sangeun Judge. You can only use the Judge form of Sangeun Judge. What I mean by this is that Sanji, the side of Sanji, only requires you to have 6 powerhouse units. You don't need to have every single color to give the attack boost, which is 3.5 times, which is very, very nice. So as a normal powerhouse captain, absolutely solid. 3.5 times attack boost, which is absolutely solid. If you don't want to use powerhouse units, you can, as a 3.5 times captain, use the Judge as a rainbow captain, having every single color in your team. I highly recommend you don't do this, but the big thing here is that if you don't want to run 6 different colors of powerhouse units, that's absolutely a-okay. You will just be missing out on an HP boost, which at the end of the day, because you're running powerhouse units, you're still going to have over 25,000 HP. Not really a big problem at all in my opinion. And then the dual switch ability, and when it becomes a dual captain, is only requiring you to have 6 powerhouse units for the 4.25 times attack boost, which is pretty big. Something a lot of people haven't picked up on is that you don't need to have all colors. That's only for the HP boost and beneficial orbs, if I'm not mistaken, to have all the colors in the team. So they're very, very good. They're subs. Of course, they have the V2 Germers, all dedicated towards them, that do all sorts of different disgusting things when it comes to damage and also utility. They're just great. They're really, really good. I hesitated to put them in S1, but at the end of the day, they're also still restrictive in their captain ability. While they can completely remove silence, which is a huge, huge, huge switch mechanic, amazing switch mechanic, and also tandem orbs, which is a very, very big thing, because we are now getting into the zone where having colored orbs is a bad thing. Unfortunately, having colored orbs means that you're going to have unbeneficial orbs, which is what Sabo and Koala have been released to do. To counter is that they completely remove that debuff, but on the other hand, you can bypass it by just using meat orbs or tandem orbs, which is something that Sangeun Charge is absolutely fantastic at. The damage is through the roof, they're absolutely tanky, powerhouse units are really, really strong right now. Therefore, Sangeun Charge, trying to keep this short, S2 for me. Solid, solid, solid captains. 3.5 times flat all the time is absolutely wonderful as well. When you compare it, for example, with Snake Man, which is 3.25 times flat in their base form, and then Luffy and Law in their base form, 3.5 times with no HP, or with a HP boost, but with no beneficial orbs, and also Law with a 3 times attack boost. Not the biggest multipliers out there, but then when you look at Sangeun Charge, you've got 3.5 times. Really, really nice, and their switch ability also gives a chain boost, giving you even extra damage as well, which does in fact stack with a chain boost special, which is really, really good, giving you a really big amount of chunky, you know, big chunky, especially if you use Legend Cracker, which is a nice powerhouse, I believe, slasher unit as well. Powerhouse and slasher. Let's just double check that. Mr. Cracker, who does still avoid me, unfortunately. I do not have Cracker. I wish I did. He is an amazing unit, but yes, he's a powerhouse slasher, and he will work with Sangeun Charge to give you that tasty chain boost and orb manipulation and color affinity. So very, very good sub there. Sabo and Koala. Sabo and Koala revitalizing Free Spirit. Along with that, revitalizing Luffy and Law. Both of those units work well on each other as a sub or as a captain. Sabo and Koala paired up with Luffy and Ace work fantastically well as a Free Spirit captain. What can I say? You've got orb manipulation there, block orb manipulation there, which is always a huge plus for me. That's something I forgot to mention on the Sangeun Charge, is that they don't actually have block orb manipulation. They have it, and they have many sub units that have it, but they don't have it in their own kit. But on the other flip side, they do have the attack and orb boost for themselves, which is absolutely massive. And of course, they reduce paralysis as well. On the flip hand, you have orb manipulation in Sabo and Koala and Luffy and Ace. Something I really like with these new legends is that I personally think they've got to do 2 things and then have a 3rd thing, which is either utility or orb manipulation. Every single legend, other than Luffy and Law, pretty much has that. Luffy and Law does have big amounts of damage, but AoE damage for me is nothing too special. Snake Man has a crap ton of stuff in his kit. Chain boost, orb manipulation, orb boost, extra turn orb boost, damage, changes your captain ability, so he's got a crap ton of stuff in there. Luffy and Law does have quite a lot of stuff in there, but Sangeun Charge, Koala and Sabo, Luffy Ace, Barto and Cavendish, they all have a lot of stuff in their kit, which is very, very tasty. Now, Sabo and Koala gets rid of block orbs, badly matching orbs, gets rid of the orb beneficial debuff, and then if you have Luffy and Ace as a sub on their team, you're guaranteeing yourself a full board of matching orbs. You're guaranteeing yourself a 2 times orb boost, AoE damage, you got yourself an attack boost, you got a color affinity boost. You've just got the whole package with Sabo and Koala, Luffy and Ace. So the reason why I'm putting them all together is because they really beef up the Free Spirit classes together. They synergize well as captains. I would not say one or the other are leeching from one another if you pair them up together. And even if you don't pair them up together, you can just use them as a sub on one another's teams, if that makes sense. And then to top it off, if you're not using Luffy and Ace and you want to go down cerebral paths, we all know cerebral units, so many utility subs, so many good orb boosters, so many good orb manipulators that you're sorted with a Sabo and Koala team. I was, again, hesitating to put Sabo and Koala in S1 because I genuinely think Sabo and Koala, Sangeun Charge, they can rival Luffy and Law because of how good their sub pools are. Their sub pools are absolutely amazing, but I would say longevity wise I can see them maybe falling off in the future. I can also see safety wise they're absolutely top notch. Speed wise, again, they're like medium Luffy and Law level, not necessarily the fastest legends in the game, but end game content clearance absolutely massive. Longevity, I would say medium. I can see them falling off in the future, but right now we're in the meta of having a lot of damage, having a lot of tankiness, and having a lot of utility. It's gone away from the HP cuts, the external damage, which is why, as you guys can see, Whitebeard and Marco and V2 Katakuri have been dropped down quite a lot. Let's move on. Luffy and Ace. As I touched on them earlier, they are very sustainable. They have a crap ton of damage. They have orb manipulation in their kit. They have orb manipulation in their captain ability with their switch abilities as well, which is very nice. And most of their subs always have beneficial orbs with their sailor abilities. They have a lot of good free spirit units as subs. You got Brook. Legend Brook is a good one. You got V2 Shanks, which is a good one as well. And because of their switching abilities, that they're different classes or different colors, being quick and strength, a lot of their team or the subs that require them, or the subs that will go on their teams, will naturally be strength or quick as well, which means V2 Shanks is often an optimal usage, has an optimal usage as a sub there because you need 4 of the same color, and that will give you a bunch of very nice orbs. It will give you a bunch of very nice damage boost, chain boost, all that good stuff as well. So still, in my opinion, Luffy and Ace, a lot of people don't rate them that highly. I personally rate them very highly. I think they're absolutely amazing. A lot of them, you know, they're just still clearing all the content in the game. They're not struggling at all, in my opinion, with a lot of content in the game. They're just outdated, so you see people not using them as much. But if you check out, for example, OPTC Fnatic, I believe, also maybe Imperio has some videos on Luffy and Ace clearing all the difficult pieces of content in the game right now. They're still up there. They're still really, really up there. Their limit breaks really do give them that additional bonus of that cheeky sustainability. So they're still fantastic, fantastic legends. Barto and Cavendish, in my opinion, are better sustainably than Whitebeard and Marco. They are tankier, in my opinion. They have internal fixed healing of 5%. They have big damage reduction when you do the switch ability. But their damage is not necessarily through the roof when you switch around with them. Barto, I believe, goes down to 3.25. Cavendish only gives 3.75 times to himself. But their switch ability is still very tasty. They boost their own attack, and they get the damage reduction, they get the healing, and they have their own attack boost. Something the Driven class was missing for a long time was a good attack booster. Barto and Cavendish, here you go, your attack booster. Their sustainability means that the Driven debuffs that you see on content such as Invasion Sengoku can be bypassed. It does slow things down, you know, it still slows things down, but you can finally clear it with a Driven class now, guys. Hey ho! Invasion Sengoku was there so that V2 Dovi couldn't do anything, but now V2 Dovi can be put on this team and can do something. So there you go, Barto and Cavendish. I don't think really needs to be explained that much. They are just very, very good. V2 Big Mom. Now this one is a bit of a tough one. V2 Big Mom, I don't think double V2 Big Mom is that great. Her special ability is new. I think her longevity, though, however, is amazing. I think she is going to be relevant for a long time because her special is something that cannot be debuffed right now. We don't have any debuffs or any interrupts for it right now. Chain Lock is considered a debuff, so it never gets cleared when the enemy clears debuffs, and a 3.5 times Chain Lock is absolutely absurd. Her HP pool is massive. All of her teams are always above 100,000 HP when you use double Big Mom, meaning that she's going to give you a 1,000 base attack boost, which for a lot of units is going to be like a 1.5 to 1.75 times attack boost, which is very, very nice. But having said that, you're not going to be wanting to use that, you know, all the time as a double form. You want orb manipulations in your kit, which is why you see V2 Big Mom paired up with a lot of different legends: Snake Man, Luffy Law, Sangeun Charge. You see her paired up with a lot of different legends for complementing one another for their different kind of kits. So I think V2 Big Mom, right now, because of how good her endgame content clearing and how good her safety is right now, not necessarily her speed, but her safety and the longevity and her endgame clearing content, really, really top notch. She has to go in there for the S2. Now for where people are going to get angry, especially maybe some global players who have wailed recently on some of these legends. Whitebeard and Marco, they are the only dual legend that I have not put in S2. Why have Whitebeard and Marco dropped down? The reason why is because we've got a lot of barriers nowadays. In fact, let's combine Whitebeard and Marco and V2 Katakuri together, because both of these guys work well on one another's teams. V2 Katakuri working well on a Whitebeard and Marco team, and Whitebeard and Marco being almost an essential sub for a lot of V2 Katakuri teams if you want to go the slow, safe route. First of all, longevity is dropping for them. They are becoming more and more outdated. The more barriers we're getting, the more debuffs we're getting, which only allow you to do base damage. I'm not sure if this is available on global yet, but this base damage debuff is a real kick in the nuts for V2 Katakuri, HP cutters, anyone that does tap timing damage. So essentially, yeah, that's why I've had to bring down V2 Mihawk as well, who I originally had in S2 when he came out, but the debuff we're seeing now, very annoying. Very annoying. We're also getting more healing debuffs, which is really bad for Whitebeard and Marco. Also, absolutely tragic for V2 Katakuri, because if you can't heal up with V2 Katakuri, you can't take any damage, and that absolutely sucks. That absolutely sucks. So that is a big downfall. The reason why I put them in S3 is because I don't think these guys have much longevity left in them in the Japanese meta. I see them falling off very soon. In the next 2 months or so, I can see, especially Whitebeard and Marco as captains, falling off big time. I don't think that the game is going to be too kind to healing. I don't think they're going to be too kind to HP cuts. They have loads of barriers which protect them from HP cutting, which means that essentially their captain ability, not their captain ability, their special ability, other than the healing and the orb manipulation, is kind of becoming more and more redundant. To top it off, their orb manipulation doesn't include block orb manipulation as well, so that is a big downside of their kit. So Whitebeard and Marco, I can see in the future dropping down to S4, maybe not even in the S tier. So that might be pretty huge. V2 Katakuri though, if he had the color affinity, he is a 4.66 times, I believe, 4.66 times attack boost, which is huge. Again, a lot of people don't take that into consideration because it's not written there on the paper, but 4.66 times with the color affinity is very tasty. You can use, of course, the Zunisha ship with him. He has got the whole powerhouse sub pool in there, but of course he does not boost everyone as well. Having said that, a lot of the teams that you use with him, you don't actually want to have 6 subs or 6 units on the team that are fully boosted by him, because you want to be able to stall and take damage with V2 Katakuri, making him essentially quite a slow captain. I like to personally use 6+ Corazon on his teams, especially when I'm going into blind content, and the reason for that is 6+ Corazon is not he's not even boosted whatsoever, and that will allow you to stall very easily, and he's also a very good utility sub on V2 Katakuri teams. Whitebeard and Marco as well. I said Whitebeard, but Whitebeard and Marco as well. Also very good subs, not necessarily double boosted as well, which makes it very good for stalling as well. And of course the internal healing is very nice. You can of course use Barter and Cavendish as well as a sub for internal healing. So there are many different subs that you can use on V2 Katakuri that you can, for example, 6+ Law that aren't double boosted or even single boosted, and that will allow you to use them for stalling purposes. So do keep that in mind. If you do cap his special ability, boy, that's a lot of damage. That is a lot of damage. 6 million from his special and 24 million. 24 million? It's not 24 million. But an absurd amount of damage from his special. The only downside is 1, barriers. 2, if you have the base damage debuff, that's a big kick in the nuts because it essentially renders his special completely useless. You either have to stall past that, which I have seen on the Dofi Colosseum or other contents. You can just stall past that because he has a lot of internal healing with the subs you're going to be bringing with him. But other than that, I don't see him in the meta for too long anymore. I see him longer than Whitebeard and Marco, but yeah, I think he's going to fall off. I genuinely think he's going to fall off later on in the game. And of course, he's really slow. He's safe, Very safe, but very, very slow. So minus points for that for my personal criteria. V2 Mihawk. Not much to say here. Absolute machine when it comes to damage. 4.77 times base boost. Final hit is going to be 5 times plus. He's a basically slasher version of V2 Sanji, an improved version. When you have V2 Zoro on the team, you basically have a lot of beneficial orbs almost every single turn, which is very, very tasty because he increases the rate of beneficial orbs. And of course, he can give you a 2.25 times orb boost, which is very nice, and an orb lock, which is something you don't see too much often. And orb locks are very, very nice nowadays. So going into the next stage, you will like to have orb locks on your team. That's pretty much it. He just does a fuck ton of damage. That's all I've got to say. Slashers did get revitalized with his batch, so still a top tier legend. Capone, one of my favorite legends to use. His mechanic of becoming an actual tank, like a physical tank which can't be blown away, is huge because we're seeing a lot of content nowadays which blows away legend, which is another thing that I forgot to mention, guys, for V2 Katakuri and also Whitebeard and Marco. In fact, all the legends above them, the blow away mechanic, they don't deal with it too well. If you get blown away, you may be screwed in a lot of different teams, especially V2 Katakuri, because his HP pool gets reduced like big time, especially Whitebeard and Marco, big time HP reduction, and it becomes hard to take big hits. V2, not V2, spoilers, Capone, on the other hand, can bypass this with his big father form. He has a nice orb manipulation, he has beneficial orbs in his kit, his internal healing in his kit, he has tanky HP in his kit, and he has a 3.75 times flat attack boost, which is superb. In fact, if you think about it, guys, what is pretty crazy if you look at this list is that all of these legends in their final forms, other than Capone, have over a 4 times attack boost. A 4 times or a 4 times plus attack boost. Capone is the only one that does not have in any kind of form above a 4 times attack boost. And that goes to show how good he really is. He's just so tanky, he's got so much in his kit. He's his own attack booster as well. And the big father form, just being able to have extra lives with that, being able to take critical damage and debuffs as a result of that is so good. Capone, very underrated legend. Again, he's one of those that I feel like could go up into S2. His longevity is very, very high. Speed is quite low. Again, quite a slow legend. And safety, though, through the roof. His safety is through the absolute roof. Shooters, on the other hand, though, not the best class in the world. The subs out there, you know, like, they're just a bit, hoping they do get buffed. I'm hoping they do get buffed. Shooters, in my opinion, still up there as, with Driven, probably the 2 worst class in the game right now. Driven, Shooter, and Fighters are like the bottom 3 classes right now. Let's move on to my favorite legend, Carrot. And it hurts me so much that I put her in S3. But I think S3 is the right place to put her. Safety-wise, I would say she's relatively safe because her base attack boost is 4 times. She almost has, you know, she has like 90% matching orb rate all the time, which is really, really nice. And then the most recent Colosseum actually specifically debuffs her, silences her as a captain, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that was Colosseum, Dofi, and Treble. Silences your captain if they're quick. So it was specifically to counter Carrot and allow Luffy and Law to exceed. Because this is something I said on stream. With Luffy and Law, why I prefer Carrot over Luffy and Law is like, Luffy and Law can bypass barriers with 1 unit. Carrot can bypass barriers with 6 units. Bandai have obviously picked up on this, which is why they made a piece of content where they specifically target Carrot to get debuffed if you have her as a captain. So that's something I don't appreciate, but it's got to do with, you know, making these newer legends more viable and nerf. It's essentially a nerf on Carrot, and I expect this to happen more in the future. So her longevity, I don't think is too far up there, but for any intermediate content, any existing, pre-existing content in the game that's not a forest, she is the best legend by an absolute mile, hands down. No contest anywhere you can run her, you will run her, because she is like a minute faster than every other legend. And speed wise, she's the most time efficient. She's relatively safe. Even her attack animation is so easy to hit perfects with. Her subs are great. You've got Rayleigh. A lot of her subs are free to play units. You've got Treasure Map Law as well, another good sub for her. She's got a very, very good sub pool. that you would be surprised how many good subs they have on her. But just having the attack booster, the orb booster pretty much sorted already. Rayleigh, Rainbow form, very, very good. The Raid Rayleigh, that is, and then Rainbow Carrot. Again, you don't really need to Rainbow Carrot. That's also another nice thing. I did say free-to-play friendliness is not up there, but again, that's just a bonus for her. Free-to-play friendliness, she is quite a free-to-play friendly captain. But her speed, guys, her speed is just unmatched. It's so, so, so good. For me, on my personal Legends tier list, if I was to do a top 10, she would be my #1 legend. She would genuinely be my #1 legend because I just use her so much. I use her for everything: Fortnite, Colosseums, raids. Anywhere I can use her, I will use Carrot. She's so, so good. I highly recommend you pull for her when her sugo-fest comes to global. But that's Carrot, guys. Let's move on to S4. So S4, I think some of these might be dropped down to A1. I'm not going to show you guys A1 because I've just seen how long I spent on just S tier. And it's over 40 minutes, which is absurd. Gear 4 Tank Man. The only thing keeping him here, in my opinion, is that he's Free Spirit and he's Rainbow. He has a lot of goofy mechanics, which I think are nowadays a little bit tedious, meaning he's not fast. Safety-wise, he's okay. Sub-pool-wise, he's okay. Damage-wise, he still has a lot of damage, 4 times attack boost, which is always very nice. And longevity, I still think he's going to be, you know, quite useful for a long time because he has an attack boost. The thing is, if you have an attack boost, that's really, really good because right now we're in a day and age where we have a crap ton of orb boosts and so many subs just orb boost, and we don't need any more orb boosters in the captain kit. I think attack boost, being a universal 2 times attack boost, is really huge as well, but I don't think his kit really surpasses anyone above him, and there's really nothing too amazing about him other than having damage reduction. But nowadays you don't really want to be tanking too much. The kind of damage reduction you want to have is to avoid being blown away, so that's the kind of damage reduction you want to have, and his damage reduction, you really won't see too much use for it. Not 6 plus, V2 Zoro. V2 Zoro has very good attack boost when you have the orbs, when you have matching orbs. Otherwise, it's a 3.25 times attack boost. So he's kind of similar to Tank Man in the sense that once you get the correct orbs, and once you have the correct setup, you will have the full 4 times and above attack boost, which is very, very nice. And of course, Zoro is his own attack booster, which again is very, very nice. There's not much to say about him. Tanky, very safe, not necessarily fast, but very safe. Longevity-wise, I can see him still lasting a long, long time. And then moving on to Sanji. In fact, I just realized we got the monster trio here. We've got Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji all together in the bottom row here. Sanji, longevity-wise, I see him falling off a little bit. I do see him falling off a little bit because fighters right now aren't great. They might get a revitalization sometime soon, but longevity-wise, not that great. Speed-wise, however, I actually think speed-wise, he's pretty damn good. He's pretty damn good. Being a Psy unit, a lot of his teams that you'll be running a lot of content for are going to be Psy, and that means you have neutral orbs, you have neutral affinity, and with basically a 4.77 times base attack boost, you'll be killing stages really, really fast. You can kill stages super, super fast with Sanji. His subs, a lot of them have beneficial orb sailors. Of course, a lot of people like to make the argument that Sanji's not good because he doesn't have utility. You get the utility from the subs. I've really never understood this argument. It doesn't matter if your captain doesn't have utility because utility can come from the subs. A lot of these legends don't have utility in their kit. You just get it from the subs. I don't know why a lot of people like to criticize Sanji for not having utility. So in my opinion, still very underrated V2 Sanji. I'm going to put him in S for a lot of damage. And we're in the game, Japanese meta, you need a lot of damage. So he in my opinion has to be up here as a 4.77 times captain. We've got V2 Sabo or V3 Sabo or Dex Sabo, however you want to call it. I'm going to say Dex Sabo. Boost free spirits, boost shooters, boost fighters. Being a free spirit booster is very, very nice, but if I'm not mistaken, he is a fighter shooter captain. Let's just double check that. Dex Sabo, you are... Dun 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 dun. He is indeed a fighter shooter, so he doesn't necessarily get to use the free spirit units that have the restriction if your captain is a free spirit unit or you need 6 free spirit units to have this special activated. So unfortunately, Sabo missing out on that for the sub pool. Fighter shooter as well. Again, As I mentioned earlier, their sub pool not the best, but he is a very, very good captain, going up to a 4.25, starting off as a 3.25, and then bumping up as you kill opponents. I actually don't like having the bumping up effect, but when you are on the burst turn, most of the time, as long as you don't mess up, you'll be fine. You have the 4.25 times attack boost. He has high rate of matching orbs, which is nice as well. And he has cooldown in his kit, if I'm not mistaken as well. He doesn't have cooldown, beg your pardon, but he does have HP boost as well. So very tanky. And he does a lot for his special chain boost. Unfortunately, orb boost, if it was an attack boost, guys, I would put him in S3 or S2. If he had attack boost and chain boost, that would be an absurd amount of damage, but unfortunately, he does not. That is the one big downside. Again, matching orbs means that he doesn't really need to have beneficial orbs because you are going to have matching orbs a lot of the time. So that is that for V3 deck Sabo. Damn it, I said V3. I showed what side I'm on. Let's move on to Quick Whitebeard, or V2 or V3 Whitebeard. All these different names we have. Let's move on to Quick Whitebeard. Global exclusive right now. I think he's going to come to Japan soon. I think he'd be a fantastic legend on Japan. He's got damage reduction. He doesn't have inherent orbs, unfortunately. He does have... Does he have cooldown? I think he does have cooldown in his kit. And he's also a rainbow captain, meaning that you can't... Not a rainbow captain. He's a powerhouse striker captain. But powerhouse strikers have a lot of different colors, meaning you can use the German 66 ship for extra cooldown as well. So he can actually be a very, very fast captain if he does have cooldown. He does have cooldown in his kit, and at 1 HP, he does go up to a 4.5 times attack boost. I'm assuming he's going to be most of the time a 4.25 to 4 times attack boost, which is still absolutely solid. And of course, damage reduction is very, very nice. I'm a big fan of Legend Robin, but Legend Robin is nowhere near the S tier, unfortunately. His special does a lot. Deals 400,000 fixed damage that will ignore damage negating abilities and barriers. Adds 0.77 times to the chain multiplier for 1 turn. Boosts attack of striker and powerhouse characters by 2 times for 1 turn. As I said, having an attack boost instead of an orb boost is so good, because there's so many different orb boosters for every single class now. Orb manipulators galore with the orb boost as well. That's why I'm very happy that this Whitebeard has got the attack boost. And when you are below 30% HP, reduce damage received by 95% for 1 turn, and reduce despair by 20 turns. Not sure where you need 20 turns of despair, but there you have it. Quick Whitebeard, in my opinion, very, very solid. You should look at him as more of a 4.25 times attack boost, because most of the time you're really not going to have 1 HP, and you won't want to have 1 HP a lot of the time as well, because there's content in the game that has end of turn damage or end of death damage as well, and revives and whatnot, etc, etc. But I think Quick Whitebeard, longevity wise, is pretty solid. He's quite quick. I'd say he's quite safe, but you do have to balance it out with playing along with a little bit of low HP. If you do mess up, you are probably going to die. So there's that as well. But that is going to be my S tier, guys. If you would like to see the A tier, which is still a work in progress, and the B tier, that's going to be another long video. I'm not sure if I'm really down to do that, but if you'd like to do... I can't even speak anymore, guys. One take, guys. One take. Not a single cut. I'm actually really proud of myself. 50 minutes talking straight. I don't think I messed up too much. I know I started a little bit here and there. I messed up my words, and my commentary was beginning to slur towards the end. But I'm pretty proud with how this went. But if you did enjoy that, guys, and you would like to see more tier lists from me in the future, please do drop a like. If you don't want to see any tier lists from me anymore ever again, hit that dislike button, smash that dislike button, and let me know in the comment section what I can improve on. But S tier, there we have it. That's the S tier. S tier, A tier, B tier. I can't even talk properly anymore. In the future, guys, something I do want to reflect on right now is that I did not go over what each of these units do as a captain ability and also as a sub ability, or not the sub ability. I did not go over the captain abilities and the specials. In the future, I will be doing that, so people who don't know what these legends do will know what these legends do, because I spoke about these legends very generally, assuming that everyone watching this video knows what these legends do. So in the future, I should probably correct myself on that, so you guys understand where I'm coming from a more clearer perspective. But that is my general overview as a captain, how good all of these legends are. And I think that's going to be it from me, guys. If you have watched this far, holy moly, you guys are freaking awesome. Thank you so much if you watched towards the end. If you have skimmed the video and come to the end anyway as well, thank you very much for watching. Please do leave me your thoughts and opinions. I would like to see discussion in the comment section between you guys, between yourselves, between me and you guys as well. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Thank you so much for listening to me all the way through. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to hashtag Dankabandai with a bellissimo. One take, boys. I did this in one take. Well, technically it's my 4th take, but I did not have to cut the video. One take. Slap a like on the video if you're proud of me too, because I'm proud of me too. And thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and bye bye.